There's what we say, and then there's what we don't. And often it's the unspoken that holds the most power. Welcome to the Unspoken Edge, a space where hidden dynamics, quiet tensions, and unacknowledged truths are named, held, and turned into grounded action. I'm Rachel Keck, coach, facilitator, and founder of Mosaic Collaborative. I work with visionary leaders who want growth that's sustainable, relational, and real. Here, we explore what's beneath the surface, the energy under leadership, the patterns, resistance, and the truth shaping how we lead and live. In every episode, we'll name what's missing, hold what's tense, and follow the thread to what's real. Because clarity creates traction, and legacy, it's not just what you leave behind, it's how you lead today. Let's begin. Today, we get to talk to Natalie Harris. We were both a part of a community, I would say a personal spiritual development community. We were in community together, and then Natalie served on that board. It was a nonprofit board with me. We both share a love for training and learning and people. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation. Natalie, what do you want people to know about you and what you do?
What people really should know is that, first of all, I just have a love, not only for God, but for people as well. I truly believe that we were all created for community. I'm the founder of a company called Inspired Pathways. It allows me to walk with people both in the business world and the corporate world, but also in their personal lives as well, helping to bridge those gaps between miscommunication and intention, and helping people to really discover their voice, and sometimes people discover themselves through that entire process. We partner with those companies, those individuals, and customize programs, customize seminars. The greatest part of that is connecting with the leaders, with each of the individuals to help move toward a greater, more authentic form of communication that they have not experienced. And when being in that space, what happens? We then see a healthier individual showing up at work. We see a healthier culture being formed. And when you have a healthy culture, what does that mean for the company, the owners? It means growth. It means that we reach even more in the community. It means that we live our mission statement through our people that partner with us. So that's me in a nutshell with all of my, 20 plus years of training
Mhm.
background in various different fields, industries, from retail to telecommunication, even farmland industries, being in HR, wide range of partnerships there. But there's still one thing at the heart of that, and it's service to people. It is communication.
I would love to start with walking in faith, but from what that has meant, I mean, not only because I think sometimes we pigeonhole faith into our religious beliefs, and you have had that experience in every aspect. I mean, relationship and your own self and professional. I'm just curious. I just want to start there. What does walking in faith mean to you?
Oh my goodness. So sometimes it can be difficult, right? And you don't really know what is happening, but you feel as though it's that feeling like in your gut, right? That you know you should be doing something or saying something, and you're truly just stepping out and knowing that, okay, God's going to take care of this. This is the right, direction to go. But even if you're not sure, for me, even if I wasn't sure, I always knew that God would close the door if it wasn't meant for me to go through that door, or he would open that door and it would be a smooth transition. And that is whether I was in the corporate world and, having people tell me that you cannot have this position unless you have A, B, and C, or you've gone through these particular steps to get to that position. But in my heart of hearts, I knew what I was supposed to be doing, what I had a passion for. And I just walked in that and owned it.
Mhm.
And, it unfolded that I did not have to have A, B, and C because I had faith instead. I had God that
Mhm.
opened up those doors and prepared me. And the same way with my, after that 30 plus year relationship, I wasn't sure. I mean, you talk about the love of your life, right? Thinking that it was time, but I also believed that God would open up the doors when it was time. He closed the doors several times, and I said, "Okay, you give me the tools that I need to walk in this the way that a godly wife should walk in it, and if you say go, I will go." And when the door was open, I knew that that was the door he was opening,
Mhm.
not one I chose to open myself.
There's so much in that I want to pull apart. One is that I think we both have Christian backgrounds. When you are saying God, I think that there is something bigger than there is an energetic force that is bigger than me that is happening before me. It's the same way I grew up talking about God, but I had to kind of deconstruct all of that to get to where I am now that feels more aligned, that feels more faithful, I will say. That feels like I can live and walk in faith, and it doesn't have kind of the conditioning and spiritual abuse that
Mhm,
surrounded, how I grew up. So as you're talking, what I keep hearing you talk about is trust
mhm,
and this idea of surrendering or submitting to the flow and
right.
knowing that what is for you, what is for you cannot miss you. And in that way, doors will open and doors will close. Things will start and things will end in accordance to the flow. Okay, so what do you think about that? Tell me how that's landing with you.
It makes sense, makes complete sense, and I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable and open because that's what you're all about. That's what this is all about, right? That's being open and honest and sharing what your truth is without judgment, without me placing my beliefs on you or vice versa. And that what I heard you say is that you had this heavy luggage that you were carrying around
Mhm.
from your childhood. You didn't pack the bag.
No,
It was things that everybody else placed upon you. Is that about right? And at some point, you had to start unpacking that bag. You had
that's
to
right.
start taking out and uncovering what is in this. First of all, why is it so heavy?
Yeah.
Why is this so heavy? I don't understand. And then we start finding those things from childhood. There is a lot nowadays. It is not uncommon to find people that they go through what you call deconstruction
Mhm.
of their faith. And it's because people have placed things on them that were not aligned biblically, but it was their own beliefs and the way that people interpret. So, perspectives, and we talk about perspective in my seminars, we talk about just holding that space for people to share their perspectives, but also to be curious enough about someone else's perspective to understand how are they seeing the world? Because you had a different experience than I had, and or someone else, had. So the lens that they see life through is going to be completely different.
I want to call out a couple things. One, the courage it takes to open up the suitcase.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And two,
That's right.
two, I think what, and I'm curious to get into this a little bit with you, that the abuse that I feel like I experienced was that my own experience was not allowed, and it was only this experience that somebody wanted to give me. So so like specifically if we're going to talk about religion, and words like faith and surrender and any of those terms that we grew up saying, all of that was wrapped in this is the right way to experience it, not how are you experiencing it. So let me just make a parallel to leadership right now. So many times we say, this is how, like, this is the vision, this is the mission, here are the values. And sometimes they're crystal clear. Sometimes we spend time with the right people and marketing and we get it all and it's this beautiful picture of here's where we're going and here's the guardrails that keep us safe in it. But not once did anybody say, how does the word surrender or trust make you feel? What actually is your experience in your own relationship with this? So that then we can get to a place where we're actually in it together. So that's what
Mhm.
I feel like my abuse would the then I don't know, abuse itself is a word, but the abuse of power that I experienced was
Mhm.
nobody said, Rachel, what's your experience of God? Do you experience God? What's your experience of love, of power, of, you know, and to me, it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I was invited into my own experience. You have to wade through all the stuff that kept you from being in your experience in the first place, which is a whole unpacking.
That's a whole chapter.
Seriously. Seriously.
But it's that curiosity to really know and to have an experience outside of the things that we were maybe taught or made to believe without question. This is the way things are. And then you fast forward as we grow in your faith, let's say, you begin to, when you're given tools to use to experience it differently and own that experience for yourself, it starts to change, right?
Mhm.
So when let's say I was just reading a book called The Circle Maker.
Mm,
Excellent book, and it just talks about prayer. And before that, it was our church did one, and not everybody had to do this. It was a choice you could, make to participate or not. But the book was called Still Starving, and that was a journey through fasting. Well, everyone experiences fasting even in a different way, but for me personally, it was a whole new door open. I had to unpack some stuff going through there because what I thought fasting was not eating, taking away all these things like I was being punished. But this book changed my perspective and my experience. And instead of taking away or feeling as though I was being punished, it was more of an experience and a journey through connecting with prayer, with connecting through reading. So it was minus anyone else's perspective or interpretation. How many interpretations are there of the Bible?
mhm,
A
mhm,
lot.
mhm,
So minus any of that, this is like, okay, this is just me and you, dude. This is my homeboy up there who's got me covered, walking by my side, always got my back. We got to have conversations that I got to own, and I could choose to, just like any other relationship, I could choose to seek it out. That person, it's like, oh, I think that would be a good fit.
mhm,
And you pursue each other.
mhm.
it was the same thing. I found myself in a pursuit, right? A pursuit of finding out who am I once I unpack all these things from my bag that were placed on me from a leadership standpoint, from being in the corporate world as a Black female, so many things placed on you, married, then divorced. There's all these labels and hats that we wear. We wear labels every day. I have a label on, there's labels all over my clothes. So we have all these labels that we have to unpack and find out really what's underneath that. So both of those books helped to strengthen and take me on a journey of my relationship, my personal relationship with my higher power.
I love this idea of fasting as a tool. So one of like a fast that I've experienced is silent retreat. What you're saying that I'm really aligning to is when we choose that tool, it's actually we're focusing our attention. It's an elimination tool of like, I'm actually going to own my attention and I'm going to place it. I am placing my attention instead of being scattered all over the place.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that you said something about the pursuits last year. One of my life focuses was reciprocity in all things, which feels very similar to that mutual pursuit. Early on, when I was practicing silence, a fast of like silence, that was one of the first things that came to me was this embodied feeling of being pursued, not just being the pursuer. So one of the things that happened in my religious training was that I was working. There was this misunderstanding that I had to work my way to something. I had to work my way to perfection or goodness or rightness or to God himself. And I'm ambitious and I'm a good girl. I like to get it right. And so I hadn't experienced that stillness inside of being in myself and letting something come to me. Letting life, letting presence, letting someone, something come to me. And so I'm curious when like you're using fasting as a tool, is there kind of a shift in you that you notice?
Looking at it from that perspective is just relationship,
Mm,
not focusing on self. We are in a self-driven, self-focused society. Everything is about I. But instead, this was a pursuit of finding and drawing closer to in surrender.
mhm.
And surrendering and releasing my own control because Lord knows I'm a problem solver, I'm a fixer,
I know.
and it's all the
Control
things.
freak. Hello, I know. I get it.
So just keeping it real, I really like to have things my way. My way is not always the right way, but if I'm just still, mentioned quietness before. If I am still and I am seeking in pursuit of or using fasting as a tool to get closer and strengthen my faith, I'm also using it to allow myself to step aside and to put others first.
That takes is a courageous act in itself. And I feel like the last few years, especially, I've been putting myself in a place of practicing that level of surrender and trust, that giving up of control. You mentioned choice. There's a lot of choices. There's like moment by moment choices in that. There's a couple things that I feel like the line is so blurry for me around like self-driven. If there's a continuum where on one end is self-driven and one end is selfless. When I say that, let me clarify. When I say that, I don't like either one of those ends personally. I mean, not having a self is not even if I were to use the story of I am created in God's image, then God would not want me to be selfless. He created me like humility is one of my words this year. And it's not being selfless. It's owning my accomplishments as much as I do my failures, 'cause I'll own my failures all day long, but I don't own the shiny other parts. So, selfless feels not quite right, and then the self-driven also doesn't feel quite right.
Huh?
So when you
Ooh.
are looking at that spectrum, how do you know? Where do we land? And how do we discern, because discernment is a super underrated leadership skill. How do we discern if we are leaning in one way or the other, which is okay, or where we are in that spectrum with grace?
This is when we talk about, or the way that you said it, this is what I heard when you said selfless.
Mhm.
I say selfless. What I heard you say was selfless.
Yeah, right.
Right?
That's my spiritual
Selfless.
baggage
You
all
did
rolled up
right.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, and do.
Yeah.
So if we are created in the image of God, owning that and believing that my surrender of thinking about it's not about Natalie. In some ways it is, but there's a different perspective of that, right? So when I think selfless, it's not all about what can I get? How can I gain? How can I for
Mhm.
me? But in pursuit of, let's say, promotion or pursuit of being the best in my particular area, is that for myself satisfaction? Or is it knowing that with that, my territory will continue to increase. The people that I touch and have an impact on will expand. With money and finances, I will be able to do more. I love missions. I will be able to go on more missions trips. I will be able to do more locally. And quite honestly, it takes money to do those things.
Mhm.
You can be in pursuit of those things, but it's not all about Natalie for Natalie.
That's really good. There's so many things coming to mind. What you are talking about in the leadership world is legacy, right? It is about me being in alignment, because when I'm in alignment, my legacy is more supportive. It's more expansive. If I'm dysregulated and I'm all over the place, if I've got baggage around being selfless, and so I'm just trying to be self more, my legacy is going to be that. And when I can be in alignment, my legacy and my contribution to this collective thing we're doing all together is more in line with humility. It's more in line with what I'm here and what I'm here to give, and my part of this, which is a small, it's a little part, but it matters.
I love this conversation. It's amazing. So I thank you for having the conversation with me. When we talk about leadership, what does it look like? What does a
Mhm,
selfless leader look like? Hmm.
mhm,
What does it feel like?
mhm,
Well, maybe it is that leader who knows how to lead from a heart of empathy.
mhm,
They are bold, they are audacious, they are charismatic, they know how to get things done, but they also know how to care for their people. They know how to lead well, being active listeners, being curious about their team, even the company that they are representing, that curiosity in knowing not just your team, but what are their thoughts? What are their perspectives? What gifts and talents do they bring? And when we have a new project that's unfolding, what are your thoughts? And are you open to collaborating and being curious about other teammates? So encouraging that within your culture
mhm.
in itself. Or if I want to be self-driven, it's all about me. It's all about the bottom line. Just get the work done. This is what we need to accomplish this quarter.
Yeah.
And I might micromanage you minus the curiosity,
Mhm.
minus the empathy.
We talked about fasting, which is really stopping and focusing your attention. But what When you think about that kind of leadership and even for yourself, because it's really a shift from ego driven to intuition, right? Or empathy. What is the go-to thing for you personally? I'll share mine too. A go-to thing for you personally that when you catch yourself and you're like, "Whoops, here I go again." What do you have, like, a quick shift? Do you have something that you do that helps you shift?
It is the listening. I mentioned earlier that I'm a problem solver
Uh-huh.
and I'd love to help people.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, I will catch myself, and even as I teach or facilitate discussions about,
Mhm.
active listening and holding that space for you, sometimes I get overzealous,
I love the
and
word "upseller."
I just wanna dive right in there, and I will have to stop in my, "Oh, hold on. Tell me a little bit more about."
Yeah.
I will pull back
Mm,
because I don't want you to shut down. I have
no.
to hold that space. And sometimes it is not giving the solution,
Yeah.
but it is leading you on a path or walking with you on that path of self discovering a solution for yourself.
Yeah. I well, we're that's what we're made for. I mean, part of it is recognizing that the design our design is that. Our design
Hmm.
is assumptions and survival, and it takes memory and practice, like and I love that pause of like, "Okay, hold pause. I'm listening." I know I tend to listen for the problem to be solved, and I'm really good at solving the problem and giving the solution. So I'm gonna pause right now, set that solution to the side, and ask a question. One of the things I come back to for myself, which feels very aligned, is when I get really overwhelmed with the world and everything going on that's way out of my control, I come back to if I can help one person listen better at a time, which starts with me stopping and listening to what do I need. My fastest thing is my breath. I can feel even talking about all that, I can feel my breath getting caught, like and so
Uh-huh.
for me
Mhm. Just to stop and take that deep breath. And
and drop my
even now,
shoulder.
when we're talking, stop and take a deep breath and
Mhm,
to feel that release.
mhm.
Right? It's just like a calming effect in that breath.
And just dropping your shoulders and relaxing your jaw, and sometimes I can't. Sometimes it doesn't relax all the way, but the it feels like so much respect to myself.
Right. And that's loving yourself also, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to do those things that maybe you weren't taught to experience and to know that it's okay to feel. It's okay to have a perspective, your own perspective, not manipulated by someone else's perspective, but your own lens, right?
Yeah.
You have glasses, I have glasses. They're probably different prescriptions. But if we both took off our glasses, neither one of us could see.
Well, we need to do that so we can hold hands and go in a similar direction. I think what the counterintuitive thing here is to actually be a balance. I don't really like the word balance so much, but to be this idea of a selfless leader that you are bringing requires us to be in ourselves. It requires us to honor ourselves so we can have legacy that's beyond ourselves.
Recognize who you are in your truth that you live and not a fabricated truth, but your own truth, which is sometimes hard to come by. One of the authors that I love is Brene Brown.
Me too.
You talk about a powerhouse and just peeling back those layers, being real, but then also leading you on a path to I dare you to sit with yourself. I dare you to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I dare you to love yourself. And in return, I dare you to create a culture where people not only love themselves, but are uh, they are willing to have radical conversations
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
make it okay. Make it okay to do that.
And it's the work of a lifetime.
It doesn't come overnight.
Mm.
That's for sure.
No. Natalie, what if people want to get a hold of you, find you, connect with you? What are the best ways for them to do that?
Do that. So the best ways, you can contact me either through my website, which I'm the founder of Inspired Pathways. So it's inspiredpathways.net, or feel free to reach out to me directly, which is very easily, Natalie at inspiredpathways.net. And I would love to answer any questions or just walk with anyone through whatever season it might be. I have learned to listen pretty well, so I'm a good listener.
Our guests bring such clarity and depth. If you want to explore more of their work, you'll find links in the show notes. And thank you, listener, for joining me on the Unspoken Edge, the place where we name what's missing so you can lead from what matters. If something resonated with you today, share this episode with a friend or a colleague. Leave a review or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're navigating unseen tensions in your leadership or culture, let's connect. You'll find me at mosaiccollaborative.com, because legacy isn't a final chapter, it's what you live into, one conversation at a time.